Welcome to Destination Linux, the TARDIS of open source adventure, zipping through time and space and the time-space continuum of code. I'm your Time Lord this week, Michael, piloting this big blue box of geekery with my brilliant companion steering us through the vortex of tech. Jill is our Romana, code regenerating genius who can refactor a bash script faster than you can say Geronimo. Her creed, open source or bust. Proprietary is just a Cyberman's trap. Then we have our Rory, dependable server, saving tech medic, always ready to reboot the universe with his sonic screwdriver. This week's adventure, we're materializing for an interview with Carl Richell of System76, diving into their latest hardware and Pop! OS innovations. So grab your psychic paper, sync your repos, and remember, in open source, bow ties are cool, but proprietary software is not. This is Destination Linux.
Incredible opening. Opening.
I loved it.
Oh, it's so good. Doctor Who fans all around are going to love us.
I know. I love that you made me Romana. That's cool. She was one of my favorite characters from Classic Who.
I knew that, Jill. Of course. Naturally.
Of course. Yeah. I'm glad I said it right.
Yeah.
I know everything about you, Jill. There's nothing I don't know. That's why your village will be susceptible.
Oh.
It's like such a great compliment. Just so I can take down your village.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "Oh." All right. In our community feedback this week, we have Paul who writes us about episode 413. 413. I said that weird. 413. What is with us making mistakes? Weird. Is it? Well, so people know we just had the most incredible interview, and we record that first, then we go back and do this stuff. So I think
are you going to throw me under the bus for the thing I messed up?
It's Michael's fault. Okay, everyone. It's Michael's fault. I want you to know.
So he couldn't say 13. Earlier, I was trying to talk about that. Basically, Carl is a pioneer in the Linux community because System76 is a huge thing. But in the interview, I couldn't say the word pioneer, or I said it, but then in my head, it sounded wrong. Like somehow I said it wrong. I didn't say it wrong. For some reason, I felt it. So it just threw me off so much. So maybe that's because when you said 13, I'm like, that sounds like 13, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Back to Paul 13. All right, Paul. So Paul goes on to say, "Hi, guys. I love the show." I mean, thank you. I don't know why.
Thank you for dealing with all of this.
It was meant to email as soon as I hear the show, but got busy. Totally get that for sure. I think the movie with all the Tesla cars crashing into each other was Leave the World Behind. It was a Netflix movie from 2023. So we were talking about during this conversation, one of the fears of all of this kind of AI, electronics, robotics. I think we were discussing in that episode. Yeah. And one of the fears I mentioned was seeing the scene in the movie where all these self-driving cars get hacked and just start crashing into each other. Yeah. And I remembered the scene one way when I went and watched it. It was even scarier. I feel like the second time I watched it, seeing this person try to get away as all these cars are firing like missiles down the highway at them trying to crash. It's a crazy scene. So now that you know that, everyone should go check it out. It's about 1 minute, 5 seconds on YouTube. Leave the World Behind. Or go watch the movie. I think it was a pretty good movie because it's a very interesting concept that I think when you think about security and being able to hack something, the damage that could be done with a 2,000 to 5,000 pound vehicle is astounding. So there also are cases. There was an audiobook that was talking about different hacks and things that have already happened with this, or people have been able to hack not just like Teslas, but different vehicles that have electronic systems.
I mean, the amount of computers in cars these days is like there was back in a few years ago in the before times we had the supply. Before time. When we had the supply chain issues and all this stuff, like the microcontrollers were all inaccessible for so long, and when everything was super expensive. And y'all remember that time. And that period of time, I found out that the amount of cars that have 100 plus microcontrollers in there, or like just embedded computers inside of them, is crazy. Not even just like electric cars, but like just regular combustion cars had hundreds of different microcontrollers. So if you could just control one or two of those things, like that sounds awful, you know?
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that movie with us, Ryan. And thanks to you very much for confirming what it was, Paul. So we now know that we can go watch this and terrify ourselves. Thanks.
And terrify everybody. Yep. And if you want to send in your feedback, like, this is awesome.
Try not to terrify
helping
us, please.
Fill in the gaps. You can go to destinationlinux.net/comments or destinationlinux.net/forum and post on the forum, and it may be used on the show. You know, as Linux users, we know what's up. Security is non-negotiable. We just talked about the importance of having security all around. And these threats are getting smarter. Your security tools have to keep pace with all of these technological changes that are happening, but without dragging your systems down. Traditional agents, they slow you down and leave blind spots, but it's time for a smarter approach. That's why Destination Linux is proud to be sponsored by Sandfly Security. This is a revolutionary agentless platform designed for Linux. Go to destinationlinux.net/Sandfly and see how Sandfly can transform your security strategy. Sandfly doesn't just detect and respond, it revolutionizes security with SSH key tracking, password auditing, drift detection, covering threats from every single angle. Whether your systems are in the cloud or on premises or in embedded devices, Sandfly ensures they're all secure without the headaches of an agent-based solution. Listen to what Ken Kleiner, a senior security engineer at the University of Massachusetts, has to say. Sandfly is the first product that they've seen accurately and quickly detect thousands of signs of compromise on the Linux platform. Its unique method automates tasks which would be manually impossible. Automation is key with detection, and Sandfly completely fits this and other requirements. If your organization is using Linux, this should be part of your cybersecurity toolset. Experience security that's not just effective, but gives you peace of mind. No agents, no downtime, just cutting edge protection.
And also, if you haven't checked out the episode where we interviewed the CEO, Craig Rowland of Sandfly, then go do it. It's destinationlinux.net/409. Fantastic episode. Wonderful interview. And on that interview, he also gave a discount to our viewers for the home edition that they just launched and announced on the show. So go to destinationlinux.net/Sandfly and put in destination 50 for 50% off the home edition. So awesome. So like Ryan said, dive into the future of Linux security at destinationlinux.net/Sandfly and see how Sandfly can transform your security strategy. Today, we're thrilled to have a true pioneer with us, Carl Richell, the founder and CEO of System76. Carl started with a bold idea in 2003 to bring Linux-powered hardware to the masses, but it's not just about the hardware. Carl and his team are working on a new Linux desktop as well, and they make their own distribution. Carl's here to take us from his humble beginnings to the exciting future of System76. Carl, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Carl, I want you to take us back to 2003. What inspired you to start System76? And then thinking about some of those early experiences that you had with open source software and those things, how did that shape wanting to start this company?
It was actually 2005.
2005. Okay, 2005 works too.
Yeah, but oh gosh, it's been 20 years now. So November of this year will be 20 years. So sometimes it feels like it's been so long that it's hard to even reflect back on those early days. But I guess to kind of start to how it started, a friend of mine had registered domain called System76, and this was in 2003. So in 2003, he's like, I've got this domain System76, not sure what to do with it. And we're close friends. And, time went on and we thought there seems to be like, we loved open source and, we used RHEL and SUSE. And there was around 2005, there's this small distribution called Yoper that I thought was really cool. But then we thought there was this like something missing in the marketplace because there wasn't really a hardware OEM shipping Linux, providing support, and really representing Linux well. And at that point, I thought Linux had reached the point where it was even better than Windows. And even though it was a long time ago, going from Windows and using Mac and using Linux, it didn't feel like anything was being taken away by switching between these desktops. And so there was so we felt like there was it was such a great operating system and such a great ethos, and just the value of open source and how it empowers people was missing this piece where people couldn't just order something online and then use it without tinkering with. Especially then, we had dial-up modems then. So dial-up modems and Wi-Fi drivers and hotkeys and graphics drivers and all of these. There were certainly rough edges, especially when it came to hardware support. And that's the gap as a company and as an enthusiast for open source that we wanted to fill. So that's why we started System76. Eventually I was finishing up projects. I worked in IT before, and we were kind of wrapping those up in 2005. And then we decided, okay, well, let's go for this. But we were also broke. So we started System76 with $1,500 in my basement. And
classic tech story of making it in a garage or a basement or something like that's awesome.
You're like Apple, Carl.
Except really small, and we care about people. It's all
besides things, not having $2 trillion, but beside those things,
besides all that, there was we started kind of the classic way of starting with nothing, and I think that's one of the exciting things about technology is because it enables you to start like really from the ground and build things. And we get caught up a lot of times in tech about tech crunch and VC and all those kind of things, but I think there's a really special place for just the opportunity that open source and technology gives you to build things from the ground up without going that route, which is kind of unique in System76's case.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting to me that you started with a domain in 2003. So you've got this domain.
Yeah, so we were technically right about the domain because System76 started because the domain started.
Yes, I feel I've vindicated a little bit there in the research. But the 2005 is when you officially launched the company. So the domain existed before the company even had an idea of what it was going to be, which is kind of fascinating, right?
Yeah, in a way, and it fit together really well because, at that time it was a kind of a silly time because people were buying just domains, squatting on them because I've got an idea, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do that, and so
I may have been a part of that process.
Yeah, still, it's what we did because especially it was such a vibrant time with the internet coming around and things you could do. It was an exciting time. So System76 just happened to be the domain that fit perfectly with the ethos of what we were building and wanting to build as a hardware company. Because the 76 is a reference to the American Revolution. So it's independence for proprietary software. And so that the domain that we were squatting on for a while was the perfect name for the company that we wanted to build around the open source ethos. And in the beginning, what made System76 possible at that time, Intel, their desktop sales were still high. But laptops were coming along and started to take over more of the desktop market. And Intel was concerned that they have all these customers that are system integrators that are building desktops. And it's not just tier one OEMs, but thousands of companies that are building desktops. So they have lots and lots of customers. They're concerned that laptops weren't going to be approachable by all these companies. So they started a program called the White Book program, where they worked with original design manufacturers, Foxconn, and I guess some of them were Compal and some others like that. And they would have these laptops that system integrators could go and choose between and offer a laptop. And they would do their own customization to make it, their unique proposition in the same way they did desktops. And that was Intel's attempt to keep their customer base broad and keep a lot of people engaged in the hardware business. And that's actually the only reason I think we were really able to get off the ground is thanks to that Intel program. Because, like I said, we had $1,500. We couldn't go and meet the MOQs from huge from the huge ODMs. So it helped us get off the ground, and we would pick the laptops we wanted, make the customization, and then we did all the work to make Linux work on them. And it turns out that laptops were the thing that was most important. We had laptops and we had desktops, but we sold far more laptops because that's what people were really looking for. Ultimately, the White Book project didn't work out, but out of it came a few companies that were successful, and System76 happens to be one of them.
I love that.
That's
story.
awesome.
That is so neat. Yeah,
that's awesome. It's a good job, Intel.
Yeah,
I think it's a great story for now. I think we'll probably talk about this, but now we want to be in the position where we empower other people.
Right.
And
that's awesome.
And that's some of the things that we're working on is to empower other people in the way that Intel helped us with their program. I want to see people be able to take the things that we make and build businesses and ideas and things out of what we make too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Like paying it forward and everything. That's awesome.
Right.
But also looking back, you've kind of talked about it a little bit, but looking back at your formative moments of making System76, what early challenges did you face, and how do those experiences influence the company's approach to innovation?
When we first started, it was a terrible hack. We would get because we didn't have much. We would get the hardware. We would do all of the work on that hardware within a few days, and then we would create an image from that work, and then we would ship the product, and then we'd be able to image every other order that came after it. And that's how we started. It was not the way you would want to do it, but it worked, and we were able to go off the ground, and it meant lots of really long nights over time. But I think that also kind of shaped who we were as a company. We weren't afraid to do risky things, challenging things. We felt like we could, if you could do that successfully, then you could take on other things that are really challenging successfully. So I think that really set the tone for what our culture is long term, and that nothing is insurmountable.
Yeah, you're not afraid to put in the hard work, the long hours, all of that stuff. It is interesting because when you tell these stories, Carl and I were talking before the show. My dad ran a small computer company as well, and I just think about the imaging through tape backups of systems we would do as they would come in, and we'd have them lined up, and they would be being imaged with our image and all the stuff that we wanted on them, and a lot of long nights there as well when we were launching that. So it's very interesting. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, but the fact you're able to do it with $1,500 is pretty awesome. I mean, thanks to Intel and stuff, but that takes innovation as well to figure out a way to leverage that $1,500 to get the most out of it, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and in the beginning, you take a sales phone call, you're chatting you're exchanging email, you're doing the engineering, you're shipping the product out, and when they need help, you're answering the phone again, and you're exchanging emails. I still remember our first customer. I remember our first return. And how much that broke my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember our first kind of crazy customer.
Oh yeah.
I remember that.
I thought we weren't going to talk about that, Carl.
This guy, Michael, is so crazy.
But he eat everything.
But it was. These experiences, because when you're starting organically, you get to go through all of them, and then as you grow, you get to share the knowledge that you learned through all those experiences with the people that you ultimately bring on.
Yep.
I can relate to everything that my support team goes through. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything. I can relate to it, and I can, I could help them through that because I've been through it too. And it's one of the, I think one of the unique things, one of the things that you really gain by doing it the organic way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
like the whole idea of like the founder being also, they talk about now where people want to get into any kind of entrepreneurship, any kind of business, and then just hire people out of it, but they don't actually know how to do it themselves. That's the best way to do it, because if a company, if the person who is the founder is the person who is doing all the stuff in the first place, they know how to take care of everything, and they know how to provide support to the teams and everything. So that's just fantastic.
The only thing I think about in this too, though, is like how many companies do you know once the founder retires and leaves the company and other people
Most
go downhill because they didn't have the person who takes it over doesn't have that same story. They don't remember fighting for every sale. They don't remember doing sales calls, tech support, engineering, ordering supplies, cleaning the windows out in the front of the store, all at the same time. They didn't have that. And so
quickly can fall
these
apart. So
companies change.
no pressure, Carl.
Yeah. Oh, well, the point is they didn't have the passion.
Exactly.
Once you hire from outside, it's to keep that business
probably
going.
not every case, but there's just a lot where you think back like, the company.
Yeah, definitely.
I found in open source, one of the things that makes open source special is that there are a lot of passionate people.
Yes.
And so when it comes to the people that join System76, they really care about the mission that we're trying to achieve and what we're working on. So it's if you don't have a lot of like cogs in the machine, it's people that are passionate and care. And
that's awesome.
So there's, I guess the point is someone coming in from outside. It's rarely someone that isn't like, I want Linux on the desktop to be the dominant force on the computer. That's what we all want. That's what we all care about, and that's also why we hire from the open source community, less so from outside because we all share that care and that passion.
Yep,
love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Going on to hardware, Carl, you've gone from assembling PCs to designing your own hardware, like the awesome Thelio desktops and the upcoming Virgo laptop. What's been the most rewarding part of bringing manufacturing in-house? I can't wait to hear this story.
Building things is special. It doesn't matter if it's software or hardware or whatever it happens to be, but just making things is a special experience. I think it's uniquely special when you go from, we have this picture at System76 that's us in the factory floor, and it's nothing but a concrete floor. There's nothing in the building. And it's we're having a meeting, and so we're sitting on the floor with 9 of us in a circle, and that's how it started. That's
I love the fact that you have the photo of it and everything like that. Yeah, most people wouldn't even consider doing that. So you kind of you can see the comparison between the before and the after.
Yeah,
I don't even know who snapped the photo, but here it is with this, having our meeting in a circle on a concrete floor, and we built a factory organically too. Like it was we'd never built a factory before, of course. I didn't hire someone that had built a factory before to build it. I didn't do the things you're supposed to do. We got a smart team that likes to work hard, likes to make things, and we figured out how to paint metal. We figured out how, what kind of machines we need to cut metal, what kind of machines we need for bending and sanding and all these things. And we started really small. So we had hand brakes. So now we have these big brakes, which a brake is a machine that bends metal to a certain radius or shape. And so we have, we had hand brakes where we had to do specific things in the design itself to accommodate the hand brake because it wasn't like software ran. So we'd have little pegs and little marks and all these other little things that we would use so that when we bent the metal, we could get in the right place and do it the right way. But it was slow and challenging, but it got us off the ground. And sanding parts, once you cut them, there's a burrs on the outside of the metal. And so we had DeWalt sanders from Home Depot.
Nice.
that we would use, and I did a lot of this. I did a lot of it myself. And we would sand for hours because of these parts, and I remember my arm buzzing afterwards because we had been sanding for so long with these hand sanders. And this sound, it sounded like Flight of the Bees. Like there's just this humming sound throughout the building while we're sanding metal. But now we have a big industrial sand machine with a vacuum table that's quiet, and the parts move across it, sucks it all out. All of it's it all was just kind of piece by piece. As the desktop line was successful, we were able to add more machinery, improve tolerances, improve quality, and thanks to our customers for being along with us in the journeys. The first Thaleo, great product, worked really well. Nothing compared to what we build today. It's like, now these are just really spectacular machines that have gone through years of iteration, and all the machinery that builds them is far more accurate, and the perfection's much higher. But everything about it was a learning process from empty warehouse to what it is today, where flat sheets of metal come in, and a week later they're built and shipped out to a customer. And
lasers.
Yeah.
Let's not forget lasers, Carl.
Yeah,
You got freaking lasers.
We've got three lasers, and we have a fiber laser. We have two fiber lasers and a CO2 laser. Interesting thing about lasers is fiber lasers can't cut. They can cut metal and steel and extremely hard material, but because of the wavelength, they can't cut acrylic or wood. And so for those materials, we have a CO2 laser that cuts like the walnut that's on Thaleo is actual walnut sheets that we bring in, and we cut, and then we put on the laser that cuts them all out, and then they're finished on a table. They're hand finished and eventually incorporated into the accent that goes on the machine. But it requires different kind of lasers for that. And another little thing that's interesting about walnut is you have to buy it at a certain time of the year or the color changes.
Oh, yeah.
So you really want to buy walnut. You want to buy it in the summer when the sap is flowing, because that's when you get the deepest color. It's lighter if you buy sheets in the winter. So there's 1,000 things
you had to learn.
Just like that. Humidity during seasons changes how you manufacture. Lots of little things that we got to learn over time that kind of resulted in it. Now we're a really good manufacturer. We're good at this.
I feel like you should start a book like How to Start a Factory for Dummies.
There we go.
If I had the patience to sit and write, I would absolutely love to share it off, because I think it's a cool thing. Like, okay, here's all the mistakes I made, all the things that went wrong, and all the things I learned. Yeah. And here, hopefully, you can skip over the rough stuff and build a factory.
You all are so bold to, not only from the start of this company, but thinking of sitting there and like, I'm going to start a factory. Anybody know how to start a factory? No? Okay. We're going to do it anyways. Like, your boldness is your success. Like that is what makes you guys so successful, is you just keep pushing and you do the crazy thing that everyone would tell you. You're nuts. Don't go start a factory. Hire somebody that knows what they're doing. They'll consult on all the equipment you need and all that. Nope, I'm just going to do it on my own. I mean, that's crazy. I love it. I love that kind of crazy, Carl.
I had a consultant. Yeah, I had a consultant come in once. And they're very nice people. They're there to help you lay out a factory floor. And they said, okay, we can help you lay out this factory floor, and we don't really understand what you're doing, but we can help with that. And then they sent us a quote. It was going to be $6,000. I can lay out a factory floor. Let me get some Linux CAD software up. And I think I used Inkscape, actually.
Yeah.
I laid out our factory floor in Inkscape, and sure enough, it worked out. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of crazy stuff.
It's great crazy. I love it.
Not exactly what you want to do.
Well,
but, not maybe the best route. But
I mean, it's fantastic in many ways, but also it's a great story too. So.
Yeah.
100%.
It's all worth the story.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's definitely about the journey. So as if hardware wasn't crazy enough, starting your own factory wasn't crazy enough, y'all decided, you know what? I'm going to start our own distro and let's create our own desktop as well, because why not? So Cosmic recently hit Alpha 6 release. I want to know, I have my theories, right? And I love that you're doing this, but I want to know, why did you all decide, hey, it's time that we develop our own desktop? And how do you feel you're going to make this stand out from all the other desktop options out there?
Yeah. We started Cosmic for the exact same reasons that we started System76. We felt there was a gap in the ecosystem where there wasn't really a desktop environment that was built with the intention that people can use it to build things with. So we have, GNOME, and GNOME has their ethos, and KDE has the ethos, and XFCE, and they're all fantastic projects. But the general idea of the projects, we're going to build a desktop platform for people to consume. And that's fantastic for the Linux ecosystem. It makes a lot of sense, and it's really, really important. Cosmic is unique in that it is a desktop platform that you can install and use like any other desktop distribution, but it's also modular and composable, meaning that every component in Cosmic is a separate application. So if you look at our repos, there's no like single monolith for everything. There's Cosmic Launcher, there's Cosmic App Library, there's Cosmic Files, there's Cosmic Comp. Everything is an independent component that when you put them together, you create a desktop environment. And it creates a extremely versatile environment that you can create experiences with. You can stack panels on top of each other and make certain panels auto hide and then others not hide, and you can put them in any orientation that you want. You can put separate applications on each one of those panels. So you could think about, like, an easy example might be like an exercise bike or something, right? It might have a status bar at the top, and then it maybe has another bar with classes in it that you click on, and maybe one of them hides, and then you have a main content area. Well, you can build that with Cosmic. Wow. Cosmic's also responsive, so you can take what Cosmic is, and it'll all fit down into a phone screen or a tablet or any other device you can think of. It could be a car infotainment system, and on those panels, like the exercise bike example, we have applets. And for us, for a desktop environment, you have things like the app tray, where all the apps are visible, and you can pin apps to it. You can minimize apps to the tray or to a panel. Or you have a clock. That's a separate application. The user menu, the volume menu, all of them are separate applications running on top of the panel, and you can organize them in any way you want. That means you can write an application that does anything you want, and you can embed it in a panel. So you can create very unique interfaces that are of your own creation, and just use Cosmic as that base to see your vision through.
Sounds like it'd be a great solution for like a kiosk system.
Precisely, yes. You could build a kiosk with it. You could build car infotainment systems. You can build anything with a screen.
Exercise bike interface. Yeah, there you go.
You can build, you can build any interface that you see that's missing in the world. And instead of, like, if you think about Linux and at large, the things that make, I think, Linux really successful and important and valuable. And you think about the most successful Linux projects, it's things like Apache, the Linux kernel, projects like Ubuntu, where a lot of people build on top of it, and all of the infrastructure for networking and drive support, and everything else. All of this infrastructure, I think, is really valuable and successful because people can use it to build things with.
Yeah,
but that didn't exist in the desktop environment space. The thing we were missing out of all of this, we had everything that we could build. We could build thermostats, we could build alarms, we could build anything with Linux. But what was missing was that top UI layer where you could build anything with. That's what Cosmic fills in. So along with the rest of the Linux ecosystem, with Cosmic, we now have the UI layer where you can build any experience, and it's, like I said, composable and modular in a way that you just take the things that you need, you write the specific things that make your product or your experience unique, and you have a product without all the hard work that goes into building the platform all the way up to that point.
So I want to understand that's genius. I love the concept, and that's kind of a new thought on it. I always looked at Cosmic as something that was being built for builders to get the operating system out of their way, but without all of the details of the modularity and things in there, which makes it that much cooler to me. But whose idea was it on your team to do this? Because I imagine you're sitting here trying to sell laptops, you're trying to sell desktops, you've got mini computers, you've got servers, you've got a factory you've built, and somebody, whether it's you or somebody else, decided, let's build a desktop too, because this is needed to finish this out. Whose idea was it to start this project?
In a way, we were, in all honesty, we were kind of pushed into the idea of this. Well, it was our experience over time attempting to deliver for our customers what we found that they needed, but trying to do it on top of other desktops, on top of GNOME specifically. We found that it was because what we were doing wasn't what upstream necessarily felt was right for them. It meant that we're kind of going against the grain. Whatever we were building, we need to rebase it every 6 months on a new release. And so we were spending a lot of time, a lot of engineering, just getting back to par what we were delivering to our customers before, instead of constantly adding value. And our experience there kind of drove us to the kind of the understanding that there, and gave us the kind of the vision that there's probably a better way to do this. There's a way to do this where, like, if we've built Cosmic right, we don't all have to agree. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to be this, upstream, us as Cosmic. We don't have to agree with what you build, because Cosmic is explicitly built so that we don't have to. It's not important. You can build what you want, what's important to your customers, and scratch the itch that they have. And it's no skin off our back. That's exactly what its purpose is. And it required, I think, a totally different architecture to do so, and a different approach to building the software. So our experience over the years is what kind of brought this together. And it was kind of right there in front of us the whole time. By the time we got to the point where we're like, okay, this is not working. We've got to do something different. And it was, for everyone on the team, this was a no-brainer approach to.
One last kind of question around that is, did you hire like desktop experts, or did you sit in a circle again in a blank room and decide to create a desktop environment from scratch in Rust?
At that point, we had for years already standardized on developing with Rust, and we had an engineering team already working on Pop OS. Our development at that point was all the way from firmware all the way up through the desktop environment. So we had the expertise in-house, but there were certain gaps. Yeah. And we knew one of the big things we were missing was, we were going to have to build a toolkit, and we were going to have to build, and we didn't have a compositor, and compositor was a really important part. And so we did, once we made the decision that this is what we were going to do, we went out and worked on hiring, great people for those gaps in our team's knowledge.
Amazing. I just imagine the employees when they walk in and they see Carl sitting on the floor, they're like, oh gosh, what are we about to do now?
Carl, I wanted to tell you, after I got to see your awesome talk at the Southern California Linux Expo, and I was so impressed by all the customizing ability in Cosmic. And I remember when I walked out, I was thinking, what's awesome about this, and you talking about it being modular, is it's combining elements of all my favorite desktop environments. And that's the beauty of Cosmic, that you're bringing this whole customization to the table, that you could make it look like, your favorite window manager or your favorite desktop. Like for me, one of my favorite classic desktop is Window Maker. And you even on the bottom launch bar, you even showed off the apps, running in the bar, and that's like dock apps from Window Maker.
You can run Doom in a Cosmic panel.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I love, the other thing I love is that even though this is not GNOME, you still have the UX and UI integration like GNOME, so all your customers will have a smooth experience transitioning. And I could tell that was really important, as you wanted to keep that ease of use of the desktop, but make it much more customizable.
Yeah, we were able to build in the flexibility that we know our customers like.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be a jarring experience moving over to Cosmic. And
Yes.
one of the things that's kind of interesting about the timeline is when we actually designed the Cosmic user experience before we built the Cosmic desktop. So GNOME had decided to make a pretty dramatic change a few years ago, where vertical workspace was going to go away, and we're going to shift to horizontal workspaces. And just the UI layout was quite a bit different. And we had some concerns about that approach, in particular because we survey our customers a lot, and we to have an understanding of how they use their computers. And a lot of our customers use multiple displays. And in our view, horizontal workspaces and multiple displays next to each other can be disorienting, because if a workspace is on one display, then on the next display, then the next display, but you want to move amongst those displays as well. So in Cosmic,
we have a massive effect of them all moving at once.
Right. It feels jarring, but we know that multi-monitor experience is really important for our customers. So
yes.
So we were concerned about that change, and that's when we started writing. I mean, it really started with Pop Shell when we brought tiling into GNOME with Pop Shell, because that was the first big step. But then when that change was about to come, we were pretty concerned about the experience for our customers. So we created the full Cosmic, the Cosmic UX that you kind of experience today, which is driven by a launcher, and which makes it really fast to launch applications and switch between applications. We kept the vertical workspaces concept. With Cosmic, we add horizontal workspaces. So if you're on a single display or you like horizontal workspaces, you can have either one. You don't have to pick between the two. You can have workspaces per display. So one that's how I prefer to use them, because on my display on the left, you can scroll through different workspaces. On the right, you can scroll through different workspaces, or you can combine them and scroll both at the same time. But it's all about what your best workflow is. It's not that hard for us to provide the customization without it being overwhelming for you to build your workflow, the workflow that works best for you.
All right, Carl, I got to make or break it kind of thing for you here. Cosmic, is it going to have app indicators? Because
everybody must
kind of got rid of those too. So just curious.
What about
if we can have
desktop
a
icons
module
as well?
for that.
Desktop icons, yes, has desktop icons now and already.
Nice.
App indicators, we call it the notification tray, I think. But yes, it does have app indicators. Those things, I'll tell you, are truly a pain in the ass. It is just because there's no real standards around it, but so they're difficult to implement. But that's there and been there for a while. So yeah.
Thank you for taking it on, no matter how painful, because it's more painful to not have them in a desktop.
It's more painful to have applications that are expecting you to have them, and then you have no idea that they're still running, and something is better than nothing.
The implications of it are just astounding. Because a lot of apps, they keep themselves Discord, other things in the background.
You close it and it didn't close because reasons, but you would never know. So it's awesome that you have app indicators and everything. Yes. But we were talking about customizations, and I just have to know something. It's prying on my mind. So there's all this talk about how awesome that the Cosmic is going to be with customization and all that sort of stuff. Does it make you sad to know that Ryan just changes his wallpaper?
Yeah.
But it's a Batman wallpaper, Carl, and it's a very nice Batman wallpaper. So,
I guarantee when Ryan gets on Cosmic, he's going to change more than his wallpaper. Because here's the reason. There's three things that I'm trying to do. Like if I have like my bullet points, I'm trying to make computing fun because computers should be fun.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time on them. I don't want to just be a consumer. I want it to be fun. I want it to be personal. I don't want it, again, just to be a consumer. I want to personalize it for the things that I like, and I want it to be productive. And so we think about those three things when we think about new features or how our customers use them. And when it comes to fun and personalization, I think we've really nailed it, because it's very, very easy to take that Batman wallpaper and then make your windows all black with yellow accents.
oh, nice.
And you're going to do it because it'll look gorgeous and it'll feel good and it'll feel like it's yours. And then what you're going to do is go out and download 30 Batman wallpapers, put them in a folder, and then click a button, and it's going to slideshow every 5 minutes. So it changes every 5 minutes in the background.
See, I'm with you now. I think I'll be the customization king when I get on Cosmic, Michael. Like, you're gonna eat those words, man.
I actually try to convince him all the time to do customization. They're like,
when he comes to my house, he does customize my desktop for me.
Well,
and I love all the changes.
I can't stand it. I can't stand. But then he'll completely he'll be like, oh, I'm going to distro hop. And it's like, so you're going to lose all the custom. Yes, I'm going to lose all the customization. But so it's like it's a waste of my time every time. But I still do it. I still do it. Yeah. But the worst time is that I went to his house. I went to his house once, and he had the vanilla Arch version of XFCE, and I was like, how do you look at this and it be okay?
Man, but I still have a lot of time.
I appreciate that like flexibility though. Like I love desktop environments. I've used all of them. I've tried all of them. I've spent time on them because and it takes me a while before I start customizing them too, because I just want to see what the out of box feel is supposed to be. I guess that's unique about Cosmic is. It's going to be perfectly fine out of the box, but I sure want people to get in the settings and see how powerful it really is and how fun it really is to tinker with.
I love it.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it for sure. But speaking of Cosmic and the development, can we get like a little bit of a sneak peek? So like for stuff that's coming along, like the Alpha 6 was just released recently anyway. And I'm assuming that they were going to be having some new ones pretty soon. So you've been doing them like once a month, it feels like. And what's the most exciting feature that you've been working on like right now for Cosmic?
So let's see, Alpha 7 will be released next week. And it's a huge release. So we're introducing a new concept for workspaces. So we have dynamic workspaces, kind of what you're used to, or when you open a window on a workspace, it automatically creates another workspace. If you open a window on that one, it creates another one for you. As you close windows on workspaces, the workspaces are closed too.
Right.
But we're introducing a new concept called pinned workspaces. And so when you open the workspaces overview, if you always want to have 3 workspaces, you click a little pin icon next to them. And now those 3 workspaces are always open. So maybe you always put Firefox on one and Slack and Mattermost or something on another one. And maybe you have development environment or something on third one. You can lay them out so that if you close a window on one of them, that workspace doesn't go away. You can reopen other applications on it. You can also grab a workspace and you can move it to any other location, in between other workspaces, or you can grab a workspace and you can move it to another monitor. And it'll be on that monitor.
Yay!
So lots and lots of flexibility with workspaces, which it's been an enormous project. It was, I think of everything we've done in Cosmic, that's the one where I did not grasp how big it was. Mm-hmm. But it's really getting there and starting to feel good. And so Alpha 7 will have workspaces working. I would say we have some layout things that still need to be improved. So it's not the final product, but people are going to get to experience it our vision in a much more robust way.
Nice.
A lot of the other work we've done is X11 compatibility is going to be improved in Alpha 7. We now have a compatibility mode for gaming in full screen. So
Yes.
I think Steam and Proton and all of that, especially on scaled displays like 4K displays or 2K displays, where you're scaling them, it's going to work much better. There's so much. It's hard for me to recall. I think it's all exciting to me, but the other thing that's exciting right now is that we're down to 150 issues to beta,
Ooh.
which is not very many. So we'll have the Alpha 7 release next week, and then I think there are maybe 25 or so issues in Alpha 7, and so it's going to leave us about 125 issues for our first beta release. So most of them, now the features we're almost entirely feature complete. Can't really think of a big feature that's left. And then we have so we're now into bug fixes, and then it's the beta. So we're getting really close to release. So it's an exciting.
That's awesome.
Do you recommend people try the Alpha 7 now, but not in a production environment? Is that the general recommendation with the Alpha, or do you think it's production ready as an Alpha?
We could call Alpha 7 a beta, and it's absolutely beta quality. So
nice.
But then you don't really use a beta in production, so you probably don't want to. But I don't know, I've been on Cosmo for 2 years, and my tolerance is high. So to me, it's perfectly fine. The difference between production and development releases is the quality control that's necessary before a patch is released. So and during alpha releases and beta releases, we merge things very quickly. And so the likelihood that something is broken and we merge things after internal testing with the development team, but not through a full QA check. What happens after release is nothing gets merged until it also goes through the QA team. And so there's potential for breakage. It's pretty rare. There was a fun one this week. Was it this week? Yeah. Fun one this week where volume control and hotkeys got swapped. So you could do volume up and your volume would go down. And you go volume down, your volume would go up. It was like a 4-hour issue. But that's
Carl, that's just natural scrolling for your volume.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of things that might slip through during the alpha release, but it's extremely stable. And so, if you've got a machine, you have a little bit of tolerance, and you've, for something like that, then I say go for it. Especially next week, the Alpha 7's really solid.
Very cool.
Yay. Well, Carl, System76 has always been so close to the Linux community and with its development. With all the feedback you must get on the software and hardware side, how do you decide what feedback to prioritize?
So our customers keep the roof over our head. So that is we
Nice.
get feedback from the tech support team about whatever issues our customers are having, and we survey. When we send surveys out, we send them to both System76 customers and Pop! OS users that aren't System76 customers. And then there are some interesting things that are unique among the two, and then there's a lot of overlap, of course, as well. But one example is multi-monitors. Our System76 customers are more likely to use 2 or 3 monitors than a general Pop! OS user. And so for us, that means we're not going to take it away from a single monitor use, but we're going to put a lot of thought and time into multi-monitor use because these people that keep the roof over our head really care about it. So we're going to spend our time thinking about that. So yes, we prioritize customers with System76 hardware and the things that they see or the problems they have, and then but most of the time, there's a lot of synergy between the needs of our customers and making a great product for the community.
Kind of looking at the future here, both almost in the hardware and the software side, you could use this. I'm curious, how is AI going to play a part in your mind in System76's future? It could be, like I said, from even manufacturing standpoint all the way to software. Maybe you're using some of it, or maybe you don't want to ever use it. But How do you envision AI becoming a part of System 76?
I think that's a really interesting question, because AI has a lot of excitement around it, but also a lot of detractors as well.
Mhm.
And I think
Mhm.
sometimes when we think about our experience with AIs, with LLMs, and they make mistakes and things of that nature. But I think some of the most exciting work in AI is what our customers are using it for. A lot of our customers work in computer science, they work in medical fields, and they're solving really challenging issues, and they're helping our customers achieve more rapid innovation and discovery in medicines. They're helping us discover more planets that might be able to harbor life. AI models that are specifically tuned for finding cancer cells in tissue are helping us find cancer that a radiologist might have missed on an image. The impact, I think, will be profound, particularly in computer science fields, where we're going to be able to advance the state of medicine and the state of healthcare, and that expands really broadly. With LLMs and things like ChatGPT or Gemini, I think of them not very different than the internet. When you search on the internet, you get a lot of different links and a lot of different information. But as you're browsing through those, and they will be authoritative, as you're browsing through them, you have to use your foundation that you have to apply a weight to how much you agree with what's being said. And have that skepticism, no matter what the source is really important. And I think skepticism for answers from LLMs are very, very similar. It's really important not just to trust it on its face. And that sounds funny. That's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do on the internet, but it still doesn't negate the research and the speed with which you can do things that were that are much, much faster using these tools.
Wait, are you saying that everything on the internet is not true?
I know. It's shocking.
No, I thought cats ruled the internet.
Yeah, exactly. I think that
my algorithm clearly knows I like cats, because I get a lot of videos.
Me too.
I think you bring up a really good point there, that AI has become, I mean, it's a part of my day-to-day life. It's become so important to me in so many different ways. But in a lot of ways, those are creative ways. And then it's more fun to explore with AI. When you start asking it serious things as far as code or other stuff, that's where it hallucinates a lot, or it can make mistakes, or it doesn't quite understand. And that's where prompting properly. And then, of course, just the limitations of AI as it is today, but it's going to get better. But do you foresee a chance that we'll have an AI assistant built into, a version, not necessarily you build yourself, but like PyGPT or something like that? It's already built into the desktop with Cosmic, or an ability to turn on an integration like that in the future?
There's actually already a Llama LLM applet that the community member had built. So
I was about to just assume that was a thing already.
Yeah.
You build the applet and apply it to the panel. I don't know the answer. It's not something right now where it's all about getting to release, and then we get the whole team together. We talk about what we want to build for the next release. So I don't have a clear vision about what kind of integration. I've started using the integration in Firefox with ChatGPT. Nice. Yeah. And it actually is it's something I just discovered in the last couple of weeks, and now I've found it's actually really useful to have it as kind of another tool that's there for me. I use Midjourney to do product concepts.
Yeah.
So I'll do prompts for desktop design concepts and laptop concepts and mini desktop concepts, things like that, because you can kind of just iterate through ideas really quickly.
Creative side. Yeah.
You get really super weird stuff. And so it takes a lot of it takes a lot of time. I say time, but it's actually exceptionally rapid when you think about. I did this a couple of weeks ago, and I had 200 design concepts in like a couple of hours playing around, and I had one that I liked. but out of those, I got one that I liked, and a lot of different things that were pretty interesting and still will influence my ideas thinking about product design. So I think it's a great tool, and it's useful and fun, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
So does this mean we're not going to get Windows recall inside of Cosmic? Because that would be a huge disappointment,
Yeah, I am quite certain we will not be saving screenshots of a user's desktop.
The hackers are going to be so disappointed. They won't be able to steal everyone's information in Cosmic like they can in Windows. Darn.
But yeah, I think it'll be a really fun thing to think through how it could be useful. Like there's, perhaps we should have an LLM built into, or LLM backends for the launcher.
Yeah. So I already got Carl thinking tomorrow he's going to be sitting on the floor and employees are going to come in and go, oh crap, we're going to be building AI, aren't we?
I'm not adding anything at this point. Yeah, they would murder me.
One thing I thought of is like having an AI system where if someone has a bug, then they could go through the process of talking to an AI to kind of figure out and make a full-fledged bug report that they could send rather than just, hey, this happened.
The keyboard stopped working. That's all you get. Like, okay, where do I start with that?
Another one I think would be really interesting is accessibility. Yeah, because the computer vision capabilities of AI are screen readers. Orca's okay, but it's not great.
Right,
and it can't. It's not like it can describe. It'll describe the tag on an image. But that doesn't mean it's describing that. But a lot of times,
it's really good. As long as the alt tag is correct. If it's like a good actual metadata, then great. But most of the time, when people put in metadata on websites, there's even like rules in the web development world. It used to be just put something there that it describes sort of. But now you're supposed to describe it in a way that you would tell someone who can't see it. And most people don't do that. So like for those who are curious about SEO stuff, that's a tip. Change your images to do that and you'll get some better SEO.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's not actually that easy to take an image and really describe it well, as much as it seems like it should be. And what's the most important points of this image? And AI seem to do that pretty well. So I think there's a cool opportunity in accessibility to improve it. I think it would be a cool thing to work on. Sometime.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's go back to the whole business side of things because I'm very interested. We have some listeners and a lot of people who are in businesses or thinking about doing their own businesses. Like they said, they're dreaming to starting their own. What would your advice be to give them based on your 2 decades with System76?
I think the first thing is just find something that you really love to do and you're interested in doing. It doesn't matter if it existed before. There's everything that we use and everything we have today is an NIH or not in-house or of something else that was there before. So go out and create something. You never know what will happen if you make something. People will respond to it positively or not. They'll care about it or they won't. You never know until you go out and build it, but you'll never find out unless you go build it.
That's right.
So,
as a marketer, I have a phrase that I like to tell people. It's like the answer is always no if you don't ask the question.
Yeah. And oftentimes the question is the hardest thing to ask. The answer sometimes end up being the easy thing.
Thank you for adding on to my original phrase.
Yeah. So
I'm going to take that now.
Yeah. Building things is really, really satisfying. Whether it hits it big or not, it doesn't really matter. I think you learn from that experience and you take that in. Like there's the old thing with like the apple fell on Newton's head and gravity, right? Well, that's nonsense. It doesn't. Yeah, intuition doesn't come just out of thin air. It came from all of your life experiences over time. And they kind of accumulate and they add up in there, and they're back in the back of your mind when some inspiration comes. It came from all of those experiences. So, a life well lived, I think, is a life with a lot of experience because you can draw on all of that for the choices and the things and the decisions and the things you create and make.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, Carl, you have officially made it through the main interview. This is part 1. Part 2 is way longer. The questions are way more difficult. We
Way
call
more
it the
in-depth.
lightning round. There's lots of math. So if you have a calculator, you can get it out now. You can't use AI. But the goal is we're going to throw a bunch of questions at you really quickly here. It's rapid fire. And give us the quickest answer. First thing comes to your mind in there. And so... what is the square root? No, I'm kidding. If you were a superhero, what would your name and what power would you have? What would your name be and what power would you have?
I am terrible at this. because I want to be thoughtful,
Yeah.
I think the name might be too much because you're stuck with that name once you set it up. What would power would it be? What power would you pick?
What power would I want? I've always thought it was pretty cool to have lightning bolts come out of your fingers, but it's mostly just destructive. So I guess that's not very good.
Well, you could jumpstart electric cars and stuff.
Yeah, there we go. I don't know. Okay, it would be incredible. So I still look at planes when they fly through the air and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Right. So maybe the ability to fly would be really cool.
Love it. Good one.
Okay, Carl. Hard Cheetos or Cheetos Puffs? What do you like best? Which one of those do you like best?
When I was a kid, it was Puffs, and now it's Hard Cheetos.
Woohoo!
Thank goodness. We almost had to end the interview if you answered that one wrong. That was right up there with app indicators and Windows recall. Yeah.
Also, so what app or tool would you absolutely cannot be living without?
Browsers today are amazing. So absolutely, I couldn't live without a browser.
That's a good point. I think a browser would be now that I think about it, that's the only
like everybody's answer. Yeah.
You have to have internet too, but browser. Yeah. Best Linux or open source event that you've attended?
Oh, geez, I don't want to offend anyone.
Doesn't mean any other was bad. Just one that was your favorite, so far.
I really enjoyed Ubuntu Developer Summits. They were
nice.
I love them, and I got back to Ubuntu Summit for the first time last year and loved it just as much. So I like those events.
Very good.
If you weren't in tech, what would you be doing now?
Maybe I'd be making a boat.
Nice.
Nice.
That's interesting.
You'd start a boat factory because why not?
Why not?
You'll just randomly do it. You'll just start building a boat. Dang it!
I live nowhere by big bodies of water either, but so it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I got into canoeing for a while, and I bought a book on
cool.
with a design for a canoe, and so it's sitting on the shelf for one day.
There you go.
Nice. All right, if you can only pick one. Any configuration, it doesn't matter. Just it's basically the form itself. So, cupcake or a muffin?
Muffin.
Nice. Good choice.
Unfortunate, you're on Team Mikey. All right, one word that captures the spirit of System 76.
Freedom.
Yes.
Yay.
I love it. Well, Carl, I guess I forgot to put the math questions in there, but congratulations. No. You have made it through the lightning round.
I'm relieved.
Yeah, you've done it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Carl, today and sharing your incredible journey with System76. You and your team's dedication to open source innovation is just incredible. We're grateful for the work you and System76 do to, empower the community, to provide the great hardware, but also all the stuff you're doing with the Pop! OS and Cosmic. It's fantastic, and we hope for many more milestones to come. So thanks again, Carl, for joining us. It's been fantastic.
Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Aw, we love you, Carl.
Thanks, Jill.
What an incredible interview. Thank you, Carl, for coming on this show. Absolutely amazing. There's nothing more we want to add to this show. There's nothing more you can add to the show. It's perfect as is. Wrap it up, put a bow on it, send it out. We're shipping it. We want to thank you, each and every one of you, for supporting us by watching or listening to Destination Linux. It's because of you we get to have awesome people like Carl on. Because if nobody listened to the show, Carl wouldn't probably come on the show because who's listening? But because of you, Carl and people come on this show and we get to hear these amazing stories. And thank you. We love your faces for it. And you can come join us in our Discord at tuxdigital.com/Discord to continue the discussion. If you heard something really fascinating that you want to talk to the community about, that's your chance. That's the place to be. tuxdigital.com/Discord.
And if you appreciate this show and want to support it, you can become a patron by going to tuxdigital.com/membership, and you get a bunch of cool perks. We have like ability to watch the show live, unedited episodes of the show, merch discounts, so much more, tons of stuff. tuxdigital.com/membership. And yeah, I said merch discounts. That means we have a store. You can go to tuxdigital.com/store and check out all the cool stuff we have. We have hats, mugs, hoodies, t-shirts, and so much more. And wow, people, I can't believe it. Ryan is actually wearing something from the store.
Yes,
I know.
he is.
It's crazy. If you are an audio-only listener and you know that he never wears this shirt and he never holds up anything that actually is in the store, you need to just stop right now, open the video, and see for yourself that he actually did it once.
It's true. You know why I did it, Michael? Because I was listening back, quality control, of our last episode. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, there was a lot of great moments in that show, but there was one moment where I literally bust out laughing. Like I legit laughed out loud. And it was at the moment where I was holding up random crap and you go, Ryan apparently thinks we are Target. And I lost it at that line. That was such a good line because I was holding up like 3M stickies and all this. Oh my gosh, that was so good. So yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to reward Michael by actually wearing something.
Thank you so much. And if you want to reward me, people, you could go to tuxdigital.com/store and pick up some awesome merch.
And make sure to check out all the incredible shows here on Tux Digital. That's right. We have an entire network of shows to fill your whole week with geeky, cool goodness. Head to tuxdigital.com to keep those Linux penguins marching.
Everybody have a great week. And remember, the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
And by the way, I proved another point. Carl liked the hard Cheetos, right?
That's true.
Yes.
He's smart. The dude can start a whole factory just because he wills it. Eats hard Cheetos.
He also mentioned that as a kid, he liked the puffy ones, which makes sense. Kids would like the puffy ones.
We're all dumb as kids, and then we grow up and get smarter. Well, some of us stay dumb, but most of us get smarter. But, that's how it works. Just another point, another little check mark in Ryan's science
hard
project.
Cheetos. And he also picked muffins, which shows that he does make best decisions, obviously. Get wrecked, right?
No, cupcakes are yummier.
How dare you, Jill? On that note, people, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Today, we are thrilled to have a true pioneer. I don't know why. Okay, funny. Pioneer sounded wrong in my head. Like, I just sound like the wrong word. You ever have that where you just say the word and it's like, that's not the right word. Wait, it is. Anyway.
All right, let's start again. And Michael, take two. And you got this, buddy. You got this.
I do have this. It's just like for some reason the word pioneer did not sound right. I don't know why.
All right.
Anyway,
radios or something.
Exactly. I meant to say Panasonic. That's what it was.
Panasonic. Yeah. All right. 3, 2, 1.